Welcome into Real Deal Sports Talk with KP, August 23rd, 2018.
Yo, Denver City life living every night getting it. All I see is green like it's night vision. My sight's different. My type driven. These niggas risking a life sentence over white flipping, but I ain't with it. I'm light skinned. My mind gifted, intelligence in my disposition, aristocratic image, and not to mention I'm nice with it. The ice drip over cardigan sweaters, tight fitting, white linen. This is the type of shit that entice women. The fly shit that I'm on is passing the sky's limits. Why it's not surprising to see that all of these guys live it. I vivid, solemnly swear the rhyme exquisite with the time I'm giving. My mind flying, defying physics. I stay smooth like sipping out of champagne flutes. Always way cool, but it ain't a thing, just the flame cruise. You lame dudes, this that shit that you can't do. That's why your main boo steady watching me how I make moves.
My high city life got me way above the clouds. Paint the audience a picture every time I draw a crowd. I hold my weight with these bars, so make no mistake. I get to cooking like Chef Curry and Golden State. I'm motivated, I'm taking off moving vertically. Saying that they were seeing me lyrically, that's absurd to me. Virtually murdering MCs on purpose. Cutting their body parts into pieces is verbal surgery. You say you hot, but you ain't burning to the third degree. Time to bring some urgency in the state of emergency. There's no comparison to us, that's way embarrassing. Making something from nothing like ancient Native Americans. Man, listen, I'm undergoing a transition. My transmissions are filled with nothing but ambition. No remorse on these rappers like a Roman force. Snuck into the game on these suckers inside the Trojan horse.
And welcome into Real Deal Sports Talk with your boy KP. Like I said, it's August 23rd, 2018. Week 3 of the preseason kicks off tonight. I hope your week is going well. We've got some good news to talk about. We're to our final division. Our final division prediction. We got to the AFC West, so we're going to break them down today. We're going to talk a little bit about Pat Bowlen today as the Veterans Committee voted. We'll find out where that situation lies. We're going to talk about this Urban Meyer situation here a little bit at the beginning of the show. We tried to get Vance Johnson on the show today. It didn't work out. He's here in town in Denver doing a bunch of big things with Futures of Palm Beach, NFL Films. So, we'll try and get him on later this weekend. We're trying to see if I can't work something out with him for tomorrow or Saturday. We'd put that on Tuesday's show. We tried to work it out. He's currently on a way to an event, actually, that starts here that he's doing at 5 o'clock. So it wasn't going to work out to get him on the show today. Friend of the show, nonetheless. Great guy, owning his sobriety, helping many people. Just amazing what he's doing, what he's accomplishing, who he's reaching. And to be a part of that and to be able to call him a friend is pretty cool. So congratulations to you, sir, for the all of the things coming your way. And I hope many more come your way as well, as far as your blessings and helping others achieve the best they can be in owning their sobriety. So, with that being said, also check out realdealsportstalkwithkp.com. You go to the website, right? Everything I just talked to you about, owning your sobriety, Vance Johnson, getting help. On our Get Help page, we have the National Addiction Hotline. We have the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. We have the National Sexual Assault Hotline. There's ways to reach out to me here at the show. You can always reach out on social media. Anytime you need help, if you're feeling down or you just need to talk, let us know. Reach one of these hotlines. There's people out there that care for you and are willing to help you make it better. Also on the show, or on the website, on the Check Us Out page, this is where you can find friends of the show, advertisements for different groups we've had on the show, like allsportsmarket.com. Don't forget, we had them on the show not too long ago. There's information there how you can reach out to Vance Johnson, his social media feeds, Futures of Palm Beach phone number there as well. Circle of Stars, big friends of the show there, Eric Anderson and the guys with Circle of Stars Academy. You can check them out. Chad Nash, PhD, the real estate doctor. You got his information there. The Barbarians, who That's their track at the beginning and end of each and every one of our shows. And also Marcus Ogden and the Idaho Phoenix are also on there as well, to reach out and talk to them, gain knowledge, share, network, help each other out. It's all love. It's all real. Of course, you can listen to the show there every now and then. It used to be called Real Take Tuesdays. Then I realized I'm not much of a writer, so it's more of a place where I go to vent about some stories that are out there in the sports world every now and then. There's a page for that as well. And, we'll have pictures and videos and things like that on our pictures page. Imagine that. So, one thing nobody could imagine until it broke a few weeks ago was that Urban Meyer was covering up a domestic violence case, or that Urban Meyer had been lying as the head coach of the university, the Ohio State University Buckeyes. All the good stuff he's done there, all the championships, all the contracts he's signed, all the money he's made, and it come to find out that he's been lying and covering up for a wife beater. That he did know about it. That he did try to make it go away. Give the guy a second, third, fourth, fifth shot. That his wife did in fact know about it and was in communication about it with the victim, with Miss Smith. And Ohio State, they found this out. They did their long investigation. They knew they had to pay him roughly $38 million still. And they decided that his infraction as the head coach of the university, of the biggest money-gaining aspect of the university, athletic-wise, that his infraction, lying and covering that up, and not doing all he could do, but just covering his own ass in the situation, CYA, I did what the handbook said. Their idea was that infraction is not as bad, not as outrageous as a player selling his jersey, or their new Jordan sneakers, or selling their autograph. Because players who have done that get 4, 5, 6 game suspensions. Urban Meyer covers up or just doesn't follow through and do the right thing on a domestic violence case. He gets a 3-game slap. Because they have now shown you that where women stand in their mind is way below the bottom dollar. Urban Meyer's got 2 daughters. And his example to them was that if there's domestic violence, you overlook it and keep the guy on because he's a good football coach and you like him. He just showed his daughters that they are not as important as a man or the game of football or the almighty dollar. That's what I'm taking away. I don't like that in his little press conference, news briefing, he didn't directly apologize to the victim for what she had been through. And any part that he could have done to change that over the years by coming forth with the information that he had, or that was going around him. I know he wanted to say he didn't receive any texts because they went to his wife's phone. So don't implicate me. I'm going to play the 45 card here. I'm going to play the Trump card. It wasn't me. I didn't know about it. There's no inclusion. I wasn't at the meeting. I wasn't on the cell phone. The text didn't come to me. You hit it and it was despicable. It's disgusting. Jeff Swartz on Twitter wrote, so Urban Meyer lied, wasn't truthful, or withheld vital information multiple times about the same subject, but never willfully or purposefully did it. That's what I'm supposed to believe? Nice try, Ohio State. I agree 100% with Jeff on that one. Emmanuel Acho writes, college players get suspended longer than Urban Meyer for failed weed tests. It's time we admit the system is flawed and broken. Yep, 100% Emmanuel, you got that right. Jay Billis, he wrote, Urban Meyer was not complete and accurate at Media Day. Wow, that's some rhetorical gymnastics. I'm not sure one can do a limbo dance low enough to see Ohio State's high standards, quotation marks. Courtney Cronin writes, 3 things. Urban Meyer apologized to Buckeye Nation, not to the victim. Urban Meyer is allowed to direct practice during the week, is only suspended for 3 non-conference game days. So not 3 weeks, 3 days he's suspended for 3 non-conference games. We all know what these big teams do for their non-conference games. That's probably, I could look it up, but these are lower level teams they're going to beat anyway. And he gets to help do the game plan, and he gets to coach them throughout the entire week. It's not even a slap on the wrist. Three, Courtney Smith's name was not brought up until a reporter did so. So shame on Urban Meyer, shame on Ohio State. There was one victim here, and it was neither of you. It was not your campus, it was not your fans, it was not your players. It was Courtney Smith. Currently, Denver Public Schools has officials from East High School that are going through litigation and probably a trial for not properly disclosing information when it came to an alleged sexual assault. They told the school resource officer. They thought the school resource officer then made the report to the police. Didn't hear anything of it. Now it comes out they didn't do enough. They're being held accountable. Urban Meyer should be held accountable. Minimum, he should have missed this season. And Ohio State should have said, we have higher standards than what Urban Meyer just showed. We represent more than that. And where we will not fire him because he is not the one who laid hands on Courtney Smith, we do not agree with his actions and think he could have done more. That would have been minimum what I would have expected from Ohio State in this situation. Incomprehensible. Nikki Javala of The Athletic here in Denver area writes, and she's amazing. Follow her if you haven't. She gets great information. She's solid. Really good reporting there from Nikki. She writes, everyone's a victim at Ohio State apparently. Everyone but the woman and her children who might have actually been abused, which is probably how everyone got here in the first place. So think about that tonight when you're talking to your girlfriend, when you're talking to your wife, when you see your daughter's face. Before you want to jump and protect the Ohio State Buckeyes and protect a football team over a person, relate it to yourself. Then see how you feel about it. Because it's incomprehensible that somebody making that much money can do the bare minimum, and that's somehow okay because he's a good football coach, or a good principal, or a good cop, or a good businessman, or what have you. Not everything has to end in a firing or losing your job. Mr. Smith, Coach Smith, deserves to lose his job, and should have. Apparently, as early as 2009. But when you're a university and you're directing the lives of young people, and you're cashing in on the lives of young people, and you're coaching the lives of young people, You have higher standards you have to hold yourself to. So today I lost respect for him as a man. I'll admit he's a good football coach. You can't take that away from him. Being a good person, doing the right thing, that has nothing to do with being a football coach or being good at it. And maybe I shouldn't have brought up his daughters. Maybe that's too personal. But see, here's the thing. I have women in my life that I love, that I know have been abused, both physically and sexually. So it's not a subject that I take lightly or think, a little slap on the wrist will do. Right's right, wrong's wrong. Today we learned Urban Meyer and Ohio State are wrong. What's not wrong? The Veterans Committee. The Veterans Committee got it right today, everybody. If you are a Broncos fan, if you are a football fan, Pat Bowlen is finally getting his due. The Veterans Committee has voted that he is going to be a finalist. Him and Gil Brandt get through. Those are the two big names that I took out of today that I was looking for today. Pat Bowlen 1, Gil Brandt 2. Pat Bowlen should be in. He needs to be in. It needs to be before, his untimely passing. Gil Brandt means a lot to the game. Means a lot to the Cowboys. Means a lot to scouting. Also deserves to be in. But I'm super excited that Mr. B is going to have a chance. I would love to have a chance to interview him on my show. Unfortunately, that's never going to take place. I'll never get that opportunity. But it's really impressive what he's been able to pull off. And hey, another one of his teams, the Colorado Outlaws, just won their third Major League Lacrosse title in the last 5 seasons the other day. So congratulations, Mr. B, for being a great owner. Now, from Mr. B, we go into our AFC West prediction time. It is our final division. Next Saturday, September 1st, we have our 3rd annual KP Showdown Fantasy Draft. We have a 10-team league. All the spots are filled. So, unfortunately, nobody else will be able to get into the league. But you can definitely follow us if you want to. I'll be posting stuff on the website throughout the season. We'll have a recap show on September 2nd about how the draft went for everybody and kind of break down some of those fantasy teams. It's getting to be the fun time of the year. The games are about to count. Injuries are happening. Players are being released. Cut downs are coming in the next couple weeks. So here we go. Our last division, the AFC West. 2017, Kansas City wins the division at a 10-6 mark with Alex Smith at quarterback and a young core of weapons that basically were too much for the league to handle. Their defense wasn't all that. It was enough. But their offense was fast. It was athletic. It was dynamic. They go 10-6. They make it to the playoffs. The Chargers, they started off horrible. I think they were 0-4 to start the season last year, and they finished 9-7. So they recovered great. They have a lot of talent. They still have Phillip Rivers. They have a solid defense. They go 9-7 last year due to injuries and starting slow under Anthony Lynn. Raiders 6-10 last year. A couple years ago, I was on this show talking about how impressed I was with Reggie McKenzie and how he clearly brought some of those Green Bay ways over to Oakland. I was quick to jump on board of that hype wagon because what's going on in Oakland right now is kind of ridiculous. They have a mix mash of talent, of players who might be what they were and might not be what they were. They can't get their stars signed. They're shipping top players to other teams in the league. It just doesn't look good. And then the coach has got 10 years guaranteed, so you're either giving him $100 million to go away, or you're going to let him have his 10 years and remake this roster. Because that's what Gruden's doing right now. The idea that Khalil Mack, your best player, is not on the team, he's not practicing, he's not showing up, he's given up already in fines, a couple $1 million, I believe. Come on. Either get him signed, figure it out, or trade him. They go 6-10 last year. Derek Carr has a kind of a down year after he breaks his back early in the season. Offensive line doesn't play as well. They have some other injuries. The defense was pitiful. Bringing up the rear in the division, the Denver Broncos, hometown team. That's where I live, Denver. They could not get out of their own way if they wanted to last season. Mike McCoy was on his way out the door as soon as he stepped foot in it. They had backup quarterbacks and quarterbacks that shouldn't be in the league on their roster. No offensive line for the last few seasons. The defense loses leadership and takes a step back, banking on athleticism. And it didn't work out. They go 5-11 in what is one of the worst seasons I can remember watching living in Denver, Colorado. There's going to be some changes to those standings this year for sure. Now, as far as their NFL rankings last year on offense, the Chargers had the best offense in the division. They came in 4th in the NFL. Right behind them was the Chiefs in 5th. Broncos and Raiders were tied for 17th. On defense last season, Denver had the best in the division, and it was, to me, a pretty down year for that Denver defense. They got gashed. They gave up a lot of points. They spent a lot of time on the field. They broke up. They fought amongst each other. They weren't on the same page. Joe Woods struggled in his first year as the defensive coordinator, and they were still 3rd. That says a lot about the talent that they have on that side of the ball that only got better this offseason. Chargers, 15th ranked defense. Not as good as their talent is, but they had some injuries on the back end that kind of hurt them last year. They have a great front seven. The back end is talented, but often injured. Raiders, 23rd. I expected more from their safety group. I expected more from their pass rushers. Didn't get it. That's about where they were at. In Kansas City, I was kind of surprised when I saw this. Came in 28th on defense last year. That shows how good that offense was, that they were able to go 10-6 with the 28th ranked defense. That's like some old Peyton Manning Indianapolis Colts stuff. So let's get into breaking these teams down. Start with obviously the hometown Broncos here. I'm in Denver, which is funny because y'all know I'm a Lions fan. Keep it real. They got weapons. They got players coming back. They've got Emmanuel Sanders. They've got their number 1 pick from last year, Garrett Bowles. Ron Leary, if he gets healthy. Matt Paradis is healthy. Connor McGovern is developing into another tackle there, or a guard. And then Jared Valdir is going to be on the right side. They've got a bunch of tight ends. Jake Butt should be making his debut this year as long as he stays healthy. Jeff Hireman is finally back. Demaryius Thomas is looking like a beast. Their backfield, they've got plenty of options. Devontae Booker is back as the leader of the backfield. They bring over a Case Keenum. Paxton Lynch is clearly on his way out. Derek Wolfe seems to be healthy this year, and I hope that stays the case. If it was me, I honestly don't know if I'd still be playing. They have Domata Peko. Adam Gotsis, his case got dropped. Number 1 pick this year, Bradley Chubb. Von Miller, he's going to be running shop. Shaquille Barrett, Shane Ray. Todd Davis resigns. Brandon Marshall's healthy. Bradley Roby, Chris Harris, Darren Stewart, Justin Simmons, Will Parks, Sua Cravens. I mean, so much talent on that defensive side of the ball. It's unbelievable for the Broncos. And on the offensive side, honestly, too. And then they, like I said, they add a Case Keenum at quarterback. So now you don't have backups and garbage. You have a legitimate NFL starter. You also have a legitimate backup right now in Chad Kelly. Marquette King, he comes over from the Raiders. You now have one of the best punters in the NFL. You bring over a Clinton McDonald. We'll see if he works his way into that rotation. I don't believe he's been healthy very much this preseason. Tremaine Brock, you bring him over to add cornerback depth. He's also had some injury issues this preseason. Best draft in the NFL, Bradley Chubb, Cortland Sutton, Royce Freeman, Isaac Yiadom, Josie Jewell, Deshaun Hamilton, Troy Fumagalli. I mean, all of those players are going to contribute. Fumagalli has been injured. They might IR him for his rookie year. We'll see. But those are all players who are going to be on the roster, are going to contribute, who were starters and captains for their college squads. And Vance Joseph, this is your year. You 5-11 last year. You kind of got, run over. They've put you in a better position this season to coach the team and coach the coaches. You now have to do that. You now the guy who has to make the tough choices. You got Bill Musgrave as your offensive coordinator. Joe Woods, we'll see if he learned from his mistakes last year as the defensive coordinator and not keeping that unit tight. You have Tom McMahon now as your special teams coordinator, as Brock Olivo has gone out the door. So this is your year. Denver has not had back-to-back losing seasons under Pat Bowlen's ownership. Key games. They were 5-11 last year. Every game is key. You're below 500 coming into the next year. You don't have easy games. Every game is a big game for you. You have to go out and prove it every week. You have to change that mentality from last year. You have to get in that groove and start winning games. You can't take a week off. There's not a soft team on the schedule. Your division is getting younger and better for the most part. So I see him going 9-7. I think that's a good turnaround. I think they're at least 4 games better than they were last year, just with the addition of Keenum. If the offensive line can give them something and the running game gives them something, okay, maybe they get to that 10-6, 11-5. Definitely, I don't see them being better than an 11-5 team. Not right now. Kansas City. This is an interesting team. They lose their quarterback, right? Patrick Mahomes moves in, the rookie from last year. Alex Smith is out the door. You still have some of those big weapons on the outside. You still have Tyreek Hill. You still have that offensive line that really, it blocked pretty well last year. It was pretty solid. You still have Travis Kelce. You add a Sammy Watkins. Kareem Hunt's still there. Spencer Ware's still there. Actually, did I see he got released? I think maybe I saw he got released. But Kareem Hunt's still there. You bring Chad Henne in kind of as that veteran backup type guy. So expect the offense to still be solid. It'll definitely go as far as Patrick Mahomes can take them, but he has the weapons. He has an offensive line that should put him in a good position to do so. Now, Chris Jones is going to have to step up this year. They have different pieces on this defense this year. Reggie Ragland's going to have a big season. Anthony Hitchens coming over is going to have a big season. Dee Ford's going to have to definitely step up. Kendall Fuller, they're going to need a lot out of him. Eric Berry's coming back from another injury. So this is on a defensive side of the ball, they've got some stuff to show, some guys who need to step up. They did re-sign Dustin Colquitt. So that's big for their special teams. They brought Chad Henne in. He's going to be the mentor type for Patrick Mahomes. Anthony Hitchens, he's a big acquisitions for that defensive line. He's a veteran. Sammy Watkins, will see what he can add. He has not been what I thought he was going to be coming into the NFL. Now maybe that's because he lost his passion going to play for Buffalo and he didn't want to play there, and then he started dealing with injuries. Last year maybe he got rejuvenated, but he got paid off potential. He got paid off that college life because he hasn't produced in the NFL level to get paid the money that he got paid. So they bring him in. Another speedster to go on that offense. Another weapon to go on that offense. We'll see how they can be used. In the draft, they went defense heavy. They went younger. They went defense heavy. They needed to go defensive heavy, and they need players to step up on that side of the ball. 28th in the league last year, like we just said. Andy Reid, He loses his special teams coordinator up there. He moves on to Chicago to be the head coach. And Dave Taub is now the special teams coordinator and assistant head coach. Eric Bieniemy, he's the offensive coordinator. And Bob Sutton is the defensive coordinator there right now. So Eric Bieniemy, long time in the league as a running backs coach. It's great to see him now working as a offensive coordinator. I got to say, I like that. I like Eric Bieniemy. I'd love to have him on the show, and I might actually work on that through a couple mutual friends that we have. We'll see. Getting off task there. But Kansas City's got a solid coaching staff. They've got a lot of young talent, probably the most young talent outside of Denver in the division. But these are 4 teams that if they get it going, it's going to be fun to watch for sure. Key games for Kansas City, week 15 through 17 could decide if they win the division. Okay, they have Oakland, Seattle, and LA. So 2 division games smashed with Seattle in between. If they can come out strong there, they just might win the division. Then weeks 1 and 2, they have the Rams and Steelers. Weeks 5 and 6, New England and the Jags. So you split those 4. That's why I'm saying weeks 15 through 17 could end up deciding who wins the division. Because the Chargers, I have them basically right in the same range. I have the Broncos basically right in the same range. Kansas City I have as a 9-7 to 10-16. The Chargers, led by Phillip Rivers. Coach Lynn bringing him into his second season as the head coach. And for a long time, I've said the Chargers are riddled with injuries. They must be cursed. They still have Keenan Allen. Mike Williams is looking at like a good red zone threat so far through the preseason. Pretty decent offensive line. I mean, Okung, Feeney, Pouncey comes over. I don't really like him as a person, but he's a solid center. Schofield at right guard, moving him out of the tackle position was probably the only thing that was going to save his career. And he's playing some pretty good guard for him. And then Barksdale at the right tackle position. They have a Virgil Green. We'll see if, there's so many rumors that Antonio Gates might come back into the fold because Hunter Henry's down for the year. Tyrell Williams, he came on strong last year. Travis Benjamin. So they have receivers. Phillip Rivers, one of the best quarterbacks, most underrated quarterbacks right there with Matthew Stafford in the league. Melvin Gordon coming back for yet another season there as he is getting better early in his career. Defensively, Joey Bosa, Corey Lugitt, Brandon Mebane, Melvin Ingram. Come on. That's beast mode right there. Who wouldn't love that? Then you put Jatavius Brown, Denzel Perryman, Kyle Manuel behind them. You put Trevor Williams, Jaleel Ade, Rashawn Jenkins, and Casey Hayward in the secondary. That's a solid defense. That defense, it's going to be fun to watch them continue to develop with that front core with some athleticism on the back end. They're going to be fun to watch. They're going to be trouble for the teams in that division. Virgil Green, he comes over from within the division. Mike Pouncey comes over from within the conference. Geno Smith comes from within the conference. Not that anybody's, rip-roaring and can't wait to see Geno Smith play football again. Hunter Henry, like I said, he's hurting out for the year. So does an Antonio Gates at some point. Does Phillip Rivers go to management, to Anthony Lynn, and say, hey, I need my guy back in the red zone. If we would have had him the last couple of weeks, we would have won X, Y, and Z. Maybe. We'll have to see. They add a Derwin James on to that defense. They add a Uchenna Nwasu to that defense. Anthony Lynn brings back all of his coaches this season. He brings back Ken Wisenhunt, Gus Bradley, George Stewart. Right? He has all. It's consistent. Schemes not changing. Players aren't changing. Coaches is not changing. Now, I have their key games being Week 17 at Denver. Both games against Kansas City. Week 3 and 4, they play the LA and San Francisco back-to-back. And then Week 13, they have Pittsburgh. As talented as they are, as much as I like them, I've still watched this team for so many years underperform as far as their record for various reasons. Injuries on different sides of the ball to key players. Mostly injuries to key players on both sides of the ball. Or not having the talent after having so much talent and then having to rebuild the talent. So with all that being said, until they go out and prove me wrong, I have this team at 9-7. And I can't really see them a whole lot better than that because of just how it's gone for them. Now that leaves us with the Oakland, soon-to-be Las Vegas Raiders, now head up by John Gruden. Now this is a team that's got talent. They've got some players. I like Derek Carr. Right? I like him. I like some of the receivers they have. They bring over some veterans. I don't know Colton Miller starting at left tackle as a rookie. I don't necessarily agree with that. They have re-signed Donald Penn to a restructured deal. But he's listed 4th on the depth chart right now because he's hurt. And it's unofficial. This isn't, you don't get an official depth chart until week 1. Kelechi Osemele, Rodney Hudson, Gabe Jackson, Brino Giacomini. Those guys need to step up. You protect Derek Carr. You give him some time. Jared Cook now out in the pass route as your tight end because he's not much of a blocker. Amari Cooper, 1 more year. Martavius Bryant, Ryan Switzer, and your slot guy. Bring Dwayne Harris in if you have to. Marshawn Lynch, Doug Martin. We'll see if he makes the team. Chris Warren's there. DeAndre Washington's been looking okay here and there. Now, on the defensive side of balls, these young guys are going to have to start getting it. I mean, they're just going to have to start getting it. Maurice Hurst, he's going to have to get it. Gabe Wright, he's going to have to get it. Tank Carradine, you're going to have to get it. Mario Edwards Jr., time to take a leap. Adrian Key, you're going to have to step up as a rookie. Bruce Irvin, time to be a vet. Time to wreck shop. Derek Johnson, you got cast aside at 35 years old by KC. You came to the rival. Tahir Whitehead, you came over as a free agent. Time to make some tackles. Conley, you had your issues with Ohio State and all that stuff as a rookie is behind you. Year 2, bring it. Carl Joseph, time to bring it. Gilchrist, time to bring it. Reggie Nelson got re-signed. He's your veteran leader. Leon Hall is another veteran leader. It's time to bring it. And now they don't have Khalil Mack right now. But they have enough talent, hopefully, to do some stuff. Like I said, they re-signed Reggie Nelson. Tank Carradine is a free agent. Leon Hall came in. I'm sure they're bringing him as a mentor. Josh Johnson, why not bring in an athletic guy? Who knows where you can use him? He may or may not make the team. Doug Martin, I think it would be smart to have him on the team. But can he stay healthy behind Marshawn Lynch? Jordy Nelson, what's he going to be like now? I think he's going to be a great addition for Derek Carr. I mentioned Tahir Whitehead. They lose Crabtree. They lose Janikowski. They lose Marquette King. They lose Marshall Newhouse. But they bring in Colton Miller on that left tackle position. They bring in a P.J. Hall. They bring in Ardeen Key, who might be Alden Smith 2.0. They bring in Maurice Hurst, who, if his heart condition doesn't become an issue, could be a beast out of Michigan. I like Johnny Townsend. And Gruden's back. I like his character. I like his knowledge base. He seems like he'd be a great guy to talk football with, to watch film with. I mean, just great when it comes to those aspects. Now, you can't always agree with how he runs stuff, but that's not, that's him. He's got Greg Olson as his offensive coordinator. He's got Edgar Bennett as his receivers coach, who he had time with in Green Bay. Tom Cable, one of the best offensive line coaches there, running the offensive line. Brian Callahan still working with the quarterbacks and keeping that relationship with Derek Carr. You have Paul Gunther running your defense. So, could they be good? Sure. Could they not be good? Could you get rid of your best player? Oh, and shout out to Kelsey Martinez, strength and conditioning assistant coach for the Oakland Raiders. I'm going to mention the males' names. I'm going to mention the females' names too. Now, that being said, I see a lot of turmoil there right now. I see a lot of veterans they're bringing in that haven't played well for a few years. I see guys they've brought in that are coming off of injury that you're hoping can return to former form. I see guys that have always had promise, and sometimes they show glimpses, but ultimately they're just not accountable. You can't count on them. I don't think this is the Raiders' year. This year feels like it's going to be a disaster for the Raiders, even with the players they have, some of the additions they've made. Every game after the bye for the Raiders can make or break their season. I think their bye is week 6 or 7. Week 2, 1 and 2, they have the Rams and the Broncos. But it's a hefty schedule after their bye. And I have them as a 6-10, 7-9 type team this year. We'll see where it goes with Gruden. I could be 100% wrong. We'll see where it goes. I'm not trying to hate on the Raiders by any means, but I see a lot of turmoil there right now. And I don't know that with all of the mix-up, all of the shake-up, all of the different players, if that's really going to come to fruition the way they want it to. So, that being said, we're not going to get to baseball today. That's fine. We'll try and fit some baseball in on Tuesday's show as we are now done with our division predictions. Until next time, you know how we do. We don't do like Ohio State and Urban Meyer did, do we? Nah. We keep it real.
Hey yo, we way too close to the edge, so stop pushing us. Sending all our soldiers to war, they George Bushing us. People lie down from the bullets daily in Chi-Town. Nobody's exempt, I even seen it in my town. Who lives matter? Nobody's really listening. They still getting sick from the water in Flint, Michigan. Dakota access pipeline hurt the indigenous. Poison our own people for profit, this shit's ridiculous. You want some information, I give you a little piece. Somebody's making millions off murders in Middle East. Who's manufacturing guns, drugs, and ammunition? How many corporations controlling these politicians? Turn your cameras on so these people can see the picture. The poor get left behind while the rich is getting richer. I'd rather die as a free man than live in fear. We'll always be here on God's earth, we'll never disappear. Long and winding road.